Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Letters video. You guys got a really interesting video today. We're going to take a look at some stuff which has just been added input into the game code since the last patch. And this is quite juicy stuff. We're also going to take a look at what live arena could look like. And I didn't realize this was already properly active in another game in this type of genre and being done as an esport. Okay, I was aware that there's live arena in kind of this style of game, but not done to the level that I'm seeing it in another game. We're going to take a look at that other game and actually kind of, I guess, talk through, could this be an option for Raid? And it turns out, really, Raid have used some of the features from this other game a number of times. Yeah, they've added it in a different kind of guise. So we're going to get onto that in a minute. But the first thing we need to talk about here is hard bosses. What do I mean? There's been some code added into the game since the last patch for Ice Golem, Spider, Dragon, and Fire Knight. At the moment, it's just kind of visuals and placeholder stuff. But there's basically been some code which calls them out. Let me just show you a screenshot here. You can navigate to this on your own system, by the way. This isn't like a fancy back-of-house data mine. Anyone can navigate to this. But there's code which basically calls out Big Spider, Big Ice Golem, or Hard Ice Golem, I think it is. Hard Fire Knight, Hard Dragon, Big Spider. That's the 4 new bits of code that are added in there. I do need to shout out Datamine ARPG, who has basically grabbed these images out of the code. So this is the new image for Hard Spider, or Big Spider, whatever they called it. This is a new image for Fire Knight, and I mean, I guess what they're planning to do, and this is speculation at the moment, some people are saying maybe they could go here. They've already told us this is going to be Ascension for artifacts, yeah, for accessories. So I don't think that's the case. I think what they're going to do is potentially add in stage 26 to 30 dungeons. And potentially within those, the boss just gets like a ramp up. I'm hoping it's not just a stat boost. It looks like they're perhaps actually looking to slightly tweak some mechanics for the boss encounters. So going from 26 to 30, potentially. I mean, what do they do with this? This is where it gets tricky, okay? What do you do? Well, you've probably got to go with Mythic gear. Yeah, you either go with Mythic gear or you go with 7-star gear. I think they're going to go with Mythic gear because that follows the line of what's going on from Hydra right now. Makes some sense. Thing with Mythic gear, so you're going to probably keep the same sets. So it would make no sense to change the sets. So would Mythic gear replace some of the kind of, you know, OP gear sets that we've now started to get? For example, yeah, we've got Shield set in Fire Knight. Well, Bolster set is just a straight upgrade to Shield set. So if you've got Bolster available or you've got a Mythic Shield, where do you go? Is the stat boost better from Shield set, even though it can be ripped off, or would you rather just keep the lower level Bolster set, for example? Same type of stuff. You know, if you're going with Mythic Savage, well, we've already got lethal gear available from the Doom Tower, which is just an upgraded Savage if you can farm it. So it's going to be a pretty tricky one in terms of what they're going to do. Also, in other games, when you get a kind of proper step up, yeah, when you move from level 50 to level 60 in World of Warcraft, and the gear that you used to have at 50 becomes useless at 60. Yeah, it's just useless. No point for it anymore. Your green items at 60 were better than your kind of legendary items at 50. That's the way it used to work when I played that type of game. And what would happen is the new content would then need the new gear to get it done. Yeah, and you'd have a whole new raft of raids to do, dungeons to do. It would be all new content. You wouldn't do the old content anymore from that point. That's when I used to play. I know World of Warcraft actually added a feature that I think kind of matched the dungeon to your new level. So at least you could go back and do some of the old content. But when I played, you literally forgot about all the old content and you went and did the new stuff. Now with Raid, there's no scaling of content in that way at the moment. So if we went and got Mythic gear from Dragon, let's say we could beat up the new Dragon boss. We got all Mythic gear. Basically what it does is it just makes everything else a bit easier. You might be like, well, that's fine. Yeah, it is fine, but old content like Clan Boss, it has to have a new level to make it relevant again. Yeah. And Hydra scale to a new level. I know Hydra's already hard anyway, but Doom Tower stuff, everything has to have a next level of scale. Otherwise, it kind of makes it nothing content. So that's one kind of thing that I'm a bit nervous about. Raid don't seem to do that part very well yet. Or maybe their argument could be, look, you're complaining that Sand Devils is hard. Well, we're giving you mythic gear, so that it's now easier. And that, I guess, would make some sense, honestly. It would make some sense. So that way of thinking would make some sense. You then have to kind of ask yourself, well, do I want to do it? Is it worth the reward? But that's a different question. So what do you think about an upgraded level of dungeons? I've got to say, the original 4 dungeons are all brilliant content. They're all brilliant content. Yeah, I can't fault them. I could maybe say the drops, I can't believe they didn't add a different setting to Ice Golem, for instance, but the actual fight, they're all very different. They all take a lot of thought. You need to bring different teams. You need to bring different mechanics. And that is good. It's fun. It's engaging if you like this type of game. Whereas the new content in the Iron Twins and the Sand Devil, pretty much it's cheese or leave. You either cheese it with a strat or you leave it alone. And I don't like that style of thought process to have to beat a boss by cheesing it or then just don't bother. Yeah, so I don't love that. Whereas all of these dungeons, there was multiple teams, multiple choices, and I think they've always been fun to beat since I've played Raid. So let's go on to Live Arena. So I'm going to show you something here. This is actually the Summoner's War World Arena Championship. Summoner's War puts Real-Time Arena into their game in June 2016, according to this website that I'm looking at here. And it feels like they've actually done it really well. I wasn't aware of how, I guess, evolved it is in their game. Yeah, I've never played Summoner's War, so I've seen it being played, but I wasn't aware of how good the arena looks. And they've got here, I mean, this is a proper esport in this scenario, with the winner taking 10,000 USD. Yeah, second and third place is grabbing some decent rewards as well. It's a double elimination matchup with 16 contenders basically going through to the final. So it's a proper thing, right? It's a proper thing. I'm going to show you a couple of clips of it here in terms of how it plays out. So you basically start a fight and you do a pre-ban phase. So both contestants, if you like, if they know your style, they can ban someone that they know you would use a lot. So you basically ban one hero from each side of the board. The players then go ahead and pick 5 champions each. Obviously not including, you can't pick someone that's banned. And then after 5 have been picked, one of those champions is then banned from the ones you've picked. So I could, if we were playing this in a raid terms, I could say, right, Netcrit is going to be my first ban. You might then ban Warlord. Yeah, and then we could pick 5 champions each with synergy. And then I could look at your roster and say, you know what? I don't want you to have Baron. And you didn't pick a different damage dealer. I'm going to win. Okay, so that's a very simple view of it. But ultimately, a pick and ban phase, pick your heroes and you can see what you're up against. So you can kind of pick and counter pick. And then a final ban phase to try and weaken the enemy team and try and make them change their mind. What I don't know right now is, and maybe comment below if you've played Summoner's War and you know this, do these guys get to keep any advancements? Like, let's assume that in Summoner's War you can do gear ascension, empowerment, all of these things, yeah? All of these things which basically make Raid very hard to balance. Make Raid very hard to balance in PvP. Yeah, if you empower a champion, you get an insane amount of stats. If you ascend all of your items, you get an insane amount of stats. If you've got a full faction guardian versus someone who hasn't, you get an insane amount of stats. If you've got a full Great Hall and someone hasn't, you get an insane amount of stats, etc., etc. If you've got a 6-star blessing and the other person hasn't, you've got an insane amount more stats. So Raid, it's very difficult to have an even playing field in Raid And I feel like if they're going to do it, the only way you can do it is if you either upscale or you downgrade everybody to the same place. So let's say we do that. We could upgrade everybody. So let's say I picked Ronda. Ronda could be like instantly a +4 Ronda. Yeah, for this game mode. I could have a 6-star blessing instantly. Or it's a flat Ronda with no blessing. But I think in terms of raid and what they would want to do, bearing in mind they've added these things into the game, I think they would probably want to upscale. Yeah, show the champions in their most powerful form, I think. But I feel like they've got to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be just for the top 50 players. And then the rest of the players really won't have an enjoyable time of it. It won't be a skill-based thing. It'll be a Kraken-based thing. My worry is that Raid want Krakens. Yeah, they want people to splurge money. And it won't encourage the splurge unless they use their actual account. And if they use their actual account, then, as I say, it's like a top 50 can play type of thing, certainly at the higher level. Yeah, and it might be a fun game mode, and it's definitely something which I welcome, by the way. I think live arena in Raid would be really cool, especially, even more so now I've seen some of this Summoners War stuff. But I do worry for the balance of it. So I guess just to finish off, let's watch a little bit of this battle.
Locked in. Match number 2, first set. Yeah.
I mean, they've actually got like casters for it. This particular video that I'm watching here, it's had like 400,000 views. That's in line with the most viewed video ever from any content creator I've ever seen for Raid, by the way. So it's a big deal in their community.
Yanzalot versus Ismo. Leo taking the first turn, like always, with his passive.
Well, it looks like Murloc.
I mean, whether you like the game or not, it's irrelevant. It's just, you know, to have it as like an event which anybody could get involved with and fight in a live arena with casters and stuff, I think that would be an awesome direction for Raid. I do. But I guess we just have to wait and see how they're actually going to play it out. Because if they do not find a balance somehow, then I think it falls on its face. Even if they do find a balance, like how does it work? Like, does my free-to-play automatically just balance with someone who's a Kraken? Is that fair? Like, both ways, I see both sides of it. How is it fair? Do you have to own the champion first before you can even like get them in the mix? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below. How should they do this? I do think, though, it should be open, not to just someone who's been playing the game for 4 years and has spent loads. If I've joined the game 3 months ago and I love the game and I'm a PvP kind of guy, then I want to be able to get in the mix. So how do they do that? Anyway, guys, a couple of interesting ones from me. I've been Hell Hades. I'll see you later.